I didn't go home that night. Not because I was afraid, exactly, though fear hummed beneath my ribs, like a low-voltage current, but because the house no longer felt like mine. It felt like a memory someone else had written. The walls were too clean, scrubbed of the imperfections that had once made them familiar. The mirror in the hallway reflected my silhouette half a second too slowly, as if it needed time to recall the shape of me. And the family photo on the mantel, it had been rearranged. My mother now stood where my brother should have been. My brother's face was no longer a face, just a muddled smear of skin and shadow, a suggestion of features that refused to align. When I lifted the frame, the glass felt warm, as though it had been touched moments before I arrived. No one else noticed, or if they did, they moved on, perfectly content to pretend nothing was wrong. People passed by on the street in the same polite rhythm as always. Their voices were pleasant, their greetings familiar, their footsteps precise, too precise like choreography. Every gesture felt rehearsed, every expression timed. It was as though the entire town was looping the same sequence, waiting for someone, maybe me, to deviate and disrupt the pattern. So I walked through streets I'd known since childhood, though they seemed to have slipped their moorings and drifted into another reality. I passed the old school, the one with the cracked brick steps and the faded mural, but now it had become a train station, humming with tracks that disappeared into fog. The park where I'd scraped my knees as a child was now a pond, perfectly circular, perfectly still, as if poured into existence. Dragonflies hovered above its surface, their wings beating with mechanical precision. The butcher's shop had vanished entirely, replaced by a narrow paper store where loose pages fluttered in the window. Symbols moved across them like living ink, reshaping themselves each time I blinked. And still I walked. My footsteps echoed differently, as though the ground were hollow beneath me. The air tasted metallic, sharp against my tongue. Every time I turned a corner, the street behind me felt as though it folded away, sealing itself with soft, unseen hands. At some point, the sky split. Not like lightning, not violently. It peeled open with a slow, deliberate tenderness, a seam in fabric drawing apart. A fine line, almost invisible, revealing something beneath it. Something darker than night, deeper than any blackness I had ever known. It wasn't empty. It was watching. I blinked. The seam closed. The sky returned to its usual pale calm, but I had seen it. Something had looked back. And in that instant, the memory surged. The pods, the endless hall, the silent sleepers suspended beneath the earth. The vision I had tried to convince myself was a hallucination. The dream that wasn't a dream. The truth pressing against the edges of my mind like a fist demanding to be let in. Was I the only one who remembered? Was this town a loop? A half-conscious cycle replaying itself until we surrendered to forgetfulness? Or was it a trap? A dream stitched tight around us to keep us from breaking through? Could I actually wake up? Or was this slow awareness the closest I would ever get? By the time I reached the edge of town, I already knew where I needed to go. So I walked back to the house, back to the hallway, back to the door, the one that had started it all. It hadn't vanished. It hadn't shifted. It was still there, slightly too narrow, slightly off-center, humming faintly beneath its rust-red paint. The air around it felt charged, electric, as though the dream itself held its breath when I approached.
The handle was cold, heavier than I remembered, familiar in a way that made my hand tremble. I placed my palm against it. The door seemed to inhale, and the dream pulsed.